Greetings from the Kostawes region, home to trainers, Pokémon, and the Pokémon Research Facility alike. Last time we visited the Fresca City Steel Gym and earned the coveted Lift Badge, and several of our Pokémon actually went through some startling changes, evolving into newer and stronger forms. Now we venture south through the shrub and brush toward the bright and bustling boardwalk city of Visa Vita. I'm the Thesterninator, but my friends call me Stern, and I'm so glad that you could join us again as we venture through this strange and wondrous region that we call Kostawes. As mentioned, you make your way through Visa Vita's shops and markets, fighting your way through a legion of angry tourists who all seem to be running from the nearby beach. Luckily for you, however, amidst this sea of salty souvenir seekers, there are a few bright spots with helpful trainers along the way. You run into one who stops you. We've been having some problems down on the beach lately. A Pokémon known as Decoy has been stirring up some trouble down under the boardwalk and scaring away tourists. I'll make a deal. You take care of the Decoy and I'll put in a good word with the local gym leader. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. Decoy are pretty docile, but the tourists just don't know how to handle them. Scare it off and head over to the gym. No rush, no worries. With your heading made clear, you make your way down under the boardwalk. The waves lap up against the old wooden stilts that hold up the entirety of the structure. It's shops and rides, it's markets and people. Every Tuesday there's a farmer's market where farmers and business people just come and sell their wares, but not today, as everyone is fearfully ran from the boardwalk and the beach. As you wade your way into the water, probably wondering how you got yourself into this mess, and if other trainers had to go through the same type of trial just to battle their second gym leader, you find that you don't have to wait very long, as a torrent of speed and power comes racing towards you. This must be the Decoy, you think. So you ready yourself for battle. For this design, I thought about the idea of decoy Pokémon. Pokémon like Voltorb or Fungus, who look like a Pokéball, whether made that way or adapted to represent one. So combining the words koi and decoy, I came up with this little fella. On its stomach is a Pokéball pattern that, when turned upside down, can lure a hapless trainer in for a battle. But its top is an ocean blue that, to fish below, would just look like the sky against the reflective waters. When right side up, it looks like the ocean to a trainer and a Pokéball to the fish Pokémon below, which tells them to stay away lest end up caught by a trainer. In this way, it can work as either a lure or a deterrent, depending on which way it chooses to face itself. I actually did a concept for this Pokemon years back on my Instagram and decided that I wanted to revisit it today for this story. It's a fun idea, and as a person who likes to fish, having a Pokemon that's based on a fishing lore seemed like a ton of fun. But this is a very specific type of fishing lure. Decoy, the false feeder Pokemon. It's a steel type. You may be asking yourself, well, if it's a fish, isn't it water type? It's not a fish. It's a fishing lure. So it's steel type. For the shiny, I went with an Ultra Ball style color scheme, and you can tell from the sizing it's not very big, but we'll see how that changes in just a second. Sitting waist deep in the cool Kostawes Ocean, you pull out your Pokédex to scan this incoming Pokemon, only to find that this is not a decoy. Oh no, it seems that with all of the hustle and bustle of people around and Pokemon to challenge, this Decoy has found itself evolved into something much more ferocious. I played with this design for a while, even going an anglerfish route, but it just felt too much like Evil Lantern. So I decided much more late in the game, after doing like the line art as you can see here, that I should focus my attention towards something that us beach dwellers are truly afraid of. Not very often do we find ourselves scared of anglerfish or deep sea creatures, but more so the concept of a shark. If you want to see a beach empty in a matter of moments like we've seen in the Kostawes region and Visa Vita, all it takes is someone to yell shark. So scrapping the angler design, I decided to look into sharks, specifically the idea of a feeding frenzy, where sharks gather in droves to tear through whatever poor animal or chum bucket may have fallen into their territory. This Pokemon is a one-man feeding frenzy, with its body mimicking that of several sharks all swimming together. I thought about how it would work in action, and came up with this idea that it has these 3 mouths, just the 2 on either side appearing more as eyes. When eating and attacking, it'll open its central mouth and appear like any other Pokemon. One little mouth right in the center of the Pokemon's face. However, when it feels threatened, it can open up all 3 mouths, creating one giant maw with its 2 icy blue eyes sitting at the center. Here on the West Coast, shark mouths are a key feature of decoration, with the top and bottom jaws displayed in storefronts and designs. And so I wanted to capture that type of essence without just going the really big mouth route, and instead focusing on the mechanic that allows this type of look and energy to happen. I think it'd be really cool, and if I ever get into animation, I would really want to look at this Pokemon and how that all works. And so this is Shiverify. Shiver coming from the name of a group of sharks, and Verify. You have a decoy that needs to be verified. This is the frenzied Pokemon. Now a water steel type, as living in the ocean for so long, it has adapted to gain that water typing and be able to attack using what it once thought of as just its surroundings. For the shiny, I went with that great white grayish type of color, and you can see it's actually gotten a lot bigger for reasons that will become known soon. After scaring off, defeating, or capturing the Pokemon, you wearily make your way back to the gym, where a familiar face greets you. Whoa, you actually did it! Wait, it turned out to be a Shiverify? That's impressive. Maybe you are ready to take on the Visa Vita gym. Well, if that's the case, then come on in. I hope you're ready for the shock of your life, kid. As you enter the dimly lit rave-like gym, your guide quickly turns to face you. Surprise, surprise, and welcome to the electric light parade known as the Visa Vita gym and dance floor. I'm Virtus, town DJ, MC, protector, and ringmaster of this crazy light show. But our audience didn't come here to hear about me. They came for a battle, and I'm hoping you can give us one. Virtus is the premier electric-type gym leader of the Kostawes region, and word is, they work as hard as they play. To start the battle off, Virtus will send out a Chinchou followed by a Pincurchin. Both Pokemon are electric types and capture that beach-like energy. But their next Pokemon is sure to get people talking. Or getting them to stop talking, I guess I should say. Either way, get ready for their third Pokemon and our region's Pika clone. When making a region, there are a few staples you have to hit. You of course need your starters, and you need a pseudo-legendary. Most regions have at least a fossil, but I would be remiss to ignore a franchise staple in the Pika clone. These electric rodents usually have some resemblance to Pikachu and tend not to evolve. They tend not to evolve. They tend not to evolve, as the good Lord Arceus intended. Some break this pattern, and I could talk about that for days, but I decided to model my Pika clone after the Jerboa. While not native to the West Coast, they're a cool animal, so I went with it. We actually have one at our local zoo, and I think it's just the cutest creature to have ever existed. Jerboa have these huge ears that are incredible at picking up any sort of minor sound, really good at finding just the little ticks of bugs that move throughout the desert. They're also incredibly fast, so I took that and wrapped it with advancements in communication technology to create a Pokemon based on Wi-Fi. I mean, one of the things about the West Coast is people are always plugged in. I know that's a thing everywhere, but it feels like it's a lot here on the West Coast, especially in a region based off of California, Hollywood, and celebrity. It felt like it just kind of worked here. Its giant ears are great at picking up messages, so if you do happen to spot one, be sure not to let any secrets slip out, because its tail also works as a transceiver to let others of its kind know of the news it just learned. They say that if one of this Pokemon knows something, the rest will know that information not too long after. I also extended the electric cheek pouches to give it this constant wide-eyed expression like it just heard the juiciest gossip. I figured that a Pokemon like this, as a partner, would be the perfect Pokemon for a DJ who needs to know what the current trends are as they're happening. Virtus is really big on knowing what's going on around them, so yeah. This is Himichu. The name Himi coming from Himitsu, Japanese for whisper, and Chu for our Pika clone. Pikachu, Pachirisu, you know, things like that. It is a normal electric type, so it's sure to get some really good sound-based moves. And for the shiny, I went with the same type of pattern that we've hit with these other clones of not being too different, but still distinct enough that you can kind of pick it up and tell a little bit. It's also one of the smaller Pika clones, so I wanted that to be a thing. You may not notice that it's underfoot, but it knows everything you're saying. Only one Pokemon left. Ha! Now that's a good show. But what good is a show without a grand finale? And this one is brought to you by those maniacs at Porico. You ready yourself for whatever comes next, and Virtus backs away from the stage. Just as you begin to wonder, the floor begins to open up, and a giant Pokemon bursts forth from beneath, sending the onlookers into riotous applause. Much like your previous gym battle, it appears that Virtus has been gifted a Porico Pokemon as their finisher as well. Earthquakes have always been a hazard in Kostawes, and that's very much a reference to the West Coast, where we have earthquakes all the time. There's probably one happening right now. And when your town is situated on stilts over a vast ocean, that can be a real problem. Porico sought to remedy this by using a Pokemon with the Levitate ability as an example. They thought about potentially allowing this new Pokemon the power to extend that ability to levitate whole cities. But when they finished, they found that this Electros had in fact become the opposite. It had acquired the ground typing instead, making it much more susceptible to the earthquakes that they were attempting to remedy. It also grew in size, but dynamically. It's believed that possibly they took in some Gigantamax ability to try and format it to have this new type of power, and it just didn't work. This Pokemon was sure to be locked away forever, possibly sent into the abandoned Wing 7, but it wasn't long before Virtus came upon it. Virtus often goes through these areas of the Pokemon research facility, checking out all of the new equipment and new technology that they've been working on so that they can try and format it into their music, but instead, they found this. Virtus knew what it was to not be the person that you were meant to, and instead bonded with this experiment. Using their understanding of music and vibration, they trained this new partner Pokemon to generate inversed vibrations to those incoming from the earthquakes. Those vibrations would counter those made by the tectonic plates and could calm the ground. Virtus worked with this Electros to turn a failure into an utter success. And as a reward, the Pokemon research facility allowed Virtus to keep this Pokemon. So now this Electros, renamed Electrap, lives within the cliffsides of Visa Vita, countering the incoming shockwaves made by earthquakes to calm the grounds and the waters. For the design, I wanted something big, something that played into the dune sandworm type of energy, a Pokemon that tunnels through the earth and relies on vibration to get their job done. I don't have an ability for this Pokemon set in stone, if I can say that. So head down to the comments and let me know what you think this new ability should be. In fact, let me know what abilities you see for this whole group of Pokemon today. You guys are always so much better at this than me, and it's why I ask you in each video to help me out here, and I'm always astounded by what you come up with. And while you're down there, be sure to check out our Discord in the description as well, and become a part of the Fakemon Lab. We've always got fun stuff going on, and have a very quickly growing community there, waiting on user 1000. But today, this is Electrap, the Elefish Pokemon. Electric ground type. For the shiny, I went with this more zombified type of looking Electros regular color scheme, and you can see from the sizing that it's fairly big, with most of its body still hidden underground. Its stats are pretty similar, if not identical, to Electros, and I wanted to do that just to keep things kind of in order here. This is definitely one of my favorite experiments. What a show! You more than deserve this one, kid. And if you're ever looking to jam again, I'm always here. With another win under your belt and the respect of the Visa Vita gym leader, as well as a new friend, you also claim the Signal Badge. This badge is reference to your power and strength when it comes to the electric gym, and it'll also allow you to call upon your ride Pokemon, Shiverify. Shiverify is fast and will allow you to be able to traverse the waters of the region right outside of Visa Vita. This will be insanely helpful in capturing some water types if you don't have any yet, before taking on Umberfell's fire type gym. Before you go, however, make sure to check the surrounding land and catch up on some Pokemon that you may have missed, like this guy, which will have a video exclusive to Patreon supporters dropping tonight, when I also release our Wednesday video poll. But as you move on towards Umberfell, you're stopped by yet another familiar, albeit unfriendly looking face. Seems you're progressing in your Pokemon journey quite well. Before you leave Visa Vita, I have a favor to ask of you. He presents you with a strange Pokeball. Take this and head down to the cliffside. There's a Pokemon there that's in danger. As far as we know, this is the only thing that can catch it. There's a small coalition forming of people seeking to help these Pokemon, and this Pokeball will teleport it directly to us. What? You want to keep it if you catch it? I'm afraid we can't do that. It's too powerful for you to keep in your party. But rest assured, it will be in good hands. I have to go now. They're still trying to find me. I'll have one of our people get a hold of you. And as quickly as he'd appeared, he was gone. That brings us to the end of this leg of our adventure with many more questions than answers. Who is this strange man? And why can't I remember his Pokemon party from our last battle? Who is after him and what is this coalition? These are all problems for another day though, because he says there's a Pokemon in danger, and whether he's telling the truth or not, it's our duty to help a Pokemon in trouble. The Discord is hard at work trying to crack this egg, so find that link down in the description and subscribe for more Pokemon content 3 times a week. It sounds like you know where to find me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Real quick before I go, I want to give a shout out to our Ko-fi Pokemaniacs, that's Tony F and Ko-fi supporter, as well as our Patreon novice trainers, Jesse Badger and Dan Bush, and of course to our master trainer, Teacup Cryptid. Thank you guys so much, the support is always appreciated, and I'll see you guys in the next one.